Mexico. Over and done with. Mexico 22, that is. Comes and goes. Just like one of those waves down there. You're like, oh, wow, this is awesome. And then, boom, 4 nights later, it's already over. Now we got a little bit of a brief wait. So let's get on to tonight's show. We got started out with a cover tonight. We ended the set rocking, ended this set over here with a jam. They teased us with the fact that they might end with a jam, kind of like last night's with Wolfman's Brother. And all right, we got a lot of jamming over there. The first set, though, however, maybe if there's going to be any complaints about this, maybe my least favorite set of the run here, the little brief Mexico run. Rift and my friend, I'll definitely love both of those songs, but perhaps bunched together like that with If I Could, and I even love all the old songs. You'd think all this would be right up my alley, but perhaps a bit too much there. I was not necessarily calling for this, though. It's like, well, what do you want, man? If that's too old, this is too new, man. Make up your mind. All right, well, look, I'm a Phish fan. Of course, I'm going to complain about some things, but not a whole lot to complain about. The Weekapaug and the Mike's groove was the strong point, as it seems to be nowadays. And we got the natural Mike's groove there with the hydro. And no farmhouse, nothing like that. Not sneaking in anything in there on us from, maybe a new album or Ghost of the Forest, anything like that. About to Run, nothing to do with Mexico or why they would play About to Run. But if we're going to get it, that was one song missing from my wish list. So we got the Little Feet opener tonight, and then we go into the Mike's groove, as I was saying, the Weekapaug, the strong part there. And then the 46 days, like I've been saying over and over again, the jamming, and maybe it kind of crept up on me around Halloween. That run kind of came and went on us. And then for New Year's, we didn't get a lot. I know we had a lot bigger sample size last summer. But by the end of the summer, it was like, all right, the time off, they're kind of settling back in. This is the Phish we know. But maybe there was a little bit of turn there, the sci-fi soldiers involved in all of this. And we got a small sample size. Then we only got one show. But what I'm saying, I think we could perhaps, another small sample size, we could be looking at a different band here. And 46 Days was one of those. Nothing like the 46 Days jams from 18, 19, and before. But still equally awesome. It did cap it off going back into 46 Days. Trey just going two different places. Trey went in this jam. You would think at one point he was like, all right, I got that out of my system, but no, goes over, boom, kicks a knob or two. Mike gives him the look, and he's like, I'm still going, Mike, step aside. So then we get into this riff, If I Could, my friend, I won't complain about it a second time. Not to complain, the riff's pretty hot, If I Could, if you're going to get a song like that, that's one of the winners. And then my friend, I love my friend, but for maybe the first time ever, I was kind of like, I'd rather have had something else here. And then they reminded me, nah, dude, you'd rather have had my friend. Although, clear your mind, some of these sci-fi soldier songs, maybe if that whole thing had just been an instrumental. We did get some drops from the Chilling Thrilling, of course, throughout the night. And then Melt, another one I'm a big fan of. Perhaps why the set was, maybe my least favorite. Melt's always going to kind of be this angry, clashing, jammy sound. But tonight it just didn't quite hit the spot. It just seemed like there was a lot of banging around and not much sounding like not much sounding like anything I'm going to listen to much in the future. So the Melt, every now and then you can get a dud, but they followed that up with the Rock and Suzy, sending people. By the end of the Melt, people were like, they did give it a proper ending going back into Melt, I believe. But people were just motionless on the beach. Hey, you got to try. Maybe they started early tonight. The sun was still out. Maybe a little too early for that drug rock. Maybe Melt's for deep. When people are deep, that is. No Men in No Man's Land, opening up the second set. Very familiar with Everything's Right. And, both of these back-to-back. Nothing, two things we're familiar with. Two songs not everybody really loves, but once they get to jamming, of course, they do it. Prince Caspian, it seemed like it was going to fit right in. But really, it was just the launching pad into Beneath a Sea of Stars. Not quite these builds into these big giant explosion type of jams, but Beneath a Sea of Stars, I know it's Beneath a Sea of Stars, but the sound is just like you're up there amongst the stars. And then you go beyond that, you start to find like just like you're just reaching the borders of a new universe at some point in the Sea of Stars jam. And then you slowly fall back to earth, just seeing everything out in front of you throughout the galaxy. That's pretty much where Sea of Stars will take you if you're there for it. And then Golden Age was jamming out. They were not done jamming after this. And, by the end of that, man, that got kind of nasty by the end, Page taking over. He's got some nice sounds he's been tinkering around with this run. Golden Age really strong, thanks to Page and thanks to the ending there. Then we get a Lonely Trip. Paige and Trey really hooking up at one point in that, just playing together really well. Probably the bright spot of Lonely Trip. And then Hood had a great last summer. Ended last summer great, that is. I believe, did we get one there at that brief, the MSG run? I don't know. It wasn't a run. It was a one-nighter. You know, and it wasn't even an MSG. New Year's Eve. Life Beyond a Dream after the Hood. And the Hood, again, you know, just kind of like the Golden Age. The Hood got nasty, you know? Trey just it wasn't like this light, beautiful, peaceful Harry Hood. It was what Split Open Melt wanted to be, Hood ended up being. So that works out, you know. Trey was like, there it was, I found the nasty. Then we get a Life Beyond the Dream in the first two, much like the Suzy. Rock and roll to end it all. Doing the funny stuff with the guitar, getting people all fired up. So that did it, you know. I don't want to say a weak first set, you know, with the Pog and the 46 days back to back. I mean, man, nothing weak about it. But all of this here, you know, and then the Melt being a bit of a dud, which is shocking for a Melt. You know, I don't know. People that don't like Melt jams, maybe tonight I was on board with them. So that's it. Mexico 2022. Thanks to everybody that's watching the recap. Thanks to the Phish. Thanks to all the people on the balcony. I don't know why, but why not? Just because last night I couldn't say balcony. Said it tonight. Not bad. Thanks to the Helping Friendly book. It's not the Helping Friendly book, but it's the 100 thing Phish fans should know and do before they die. You should check that out if you haven't already. And, you know, I think that's it, guys. I'm going to miss you. Boom. Will you miss me? That's up for you to decide. Boom. Love ya.